What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer back again today with a look at the latest White Dwarf. We have issue 126 in the house today, featuring the new Stormcloud Attack board game. I guess two-player kind of, fighter board game. We're going to take a closer look at that and some of the rules that they put in the White Dwarf today. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Alright, man, this is an exciting action-packed issue for what may be the last big 40k hurrah for a few weeks as Age of Sigmar comes back on the scene and we start seeing some of the general handbook and all sorts of other pre-release goodies for the big reboot and global campaign of Age of Sigmar here in July. Now remember, July is actually an interesting month in 2016. It has 5 Sundays, 5 Fridays, and 5 Saturdays. So it's going to be a lot of hobby time next month for sure. I think that only happens once every 700 years, or so the internet has told me. Google may lie. It lies from time to time. But anyways, so there's going to be a lot of content coming out next month, and it might be just the perfect month to relaunch Age of Sigmar with all that extra air quotes free time and money going around the hobbysphere, so to speak. So lots of cool stuff in here. Basically, the new flyer boxes, which contain, 2 models at roughly a 30% discount off MSRP, a little rules booklet with submissions, an exclusive decal sheet, and a little quick reference card right here. Now, I'm not going to spend, I think the majority of these are $100 too, and it's roughly 30% discount. So there's the Eldar Orcs, you've got the Tau Necrons, which is an interesting matchup, and then of course the Start Collecting Blood Angels box, which a lot of people have been waiting for as well, featuring Captain Krellin, and just a normal box set of tactical squads and a Ball Predator, which is pretty much not bad. It's a good solid set. It's going to be interesting to see what they do for the formation. Now, I could see it being some sort of, hey, this thing gets to move a certain amount of distance, or some sort of free movement. That's kind of what I'm feeling here on the Blood Angel side. I think I called the Eldar Fire Prism one where it's twin linked, or it gets to fire an extra shot for the new Eldar Start Collecting bundles, but I think I missed on the Dark Eldar one. That was my prediction, and Preferred Enemy is still pretty good, but let's face it, it's a little weak sauce for the Dark Eldar guys. I mean, they got poison all day, which would be amazing if they ever switched armor to actual toughness in the game. Dark Eldar would be right towards the top again all of a sudden, which would be pretty bananas, because that's one of their glaring weaknesses, is the ability to punch armor at a decent range. Long range, close range, they got no problems, obviously. So this book is actually pretty interesting. It's a little fluff book with profile pictures and schemes and paint schemes and different things on all the flyers in the 40k universe. Basically it's called Flyers of the Dark Millennium, which 41st Millennium, etc., etc. We all know this, but the cool thing about it is, or not cool depending on how you look at it, is that it's online only. So it's kind of like an exclusive type thing that it's a little, it's one of those things you might not be able to get in your stores. Some stores may special order it, some may not. It's just kind of 50-50 there at that point. And then there's a really dope army in here too, the Cabal of the Black Myriad, many possibilities, and Myriad, so to speak. But what I thought was cool about this is a Golden Demon Painter, and it's really interesting when you see a Golden Demon Painter. Yo, dog, this is straight airbrushed. Not straight airbrushed. This is the airbrushing that me and Kenny talk about all the time. Whereas you do the airbrushing, but you also come back and you spend the time to detail it out and actually paint in details. Paint in all of the black lines here. Hit some of the edges and things, which he did up here to hyper highlight it. Do some battle damage. Get in here and hit the cockpit up good. I personally don't like clear cockpits. I don't like unpainted. Would it be unpainted components on a painted miniature? Not a fan of it. But when you start looking at some of the stuff, and he went back, he hyper highlighted it. The contrasting is amazing here, dark to light, hyper highlights. This army is gorgeous. It's straight gorgeous. It's a Golden Demon winning army, or models in it were Golden Demon, and it's airbrushed. you know, airbrushing is really coming on. Like, this is a thing. Like, it's such a time saver, but you have to do it right. Like, just airbrushing stuff right off the bat isn't going to get you any accolades, because that's basically shaving some time off your paint time, I feel like, right? There's also the walkthrough of the game, of the actual Stormcloud game in here, right? But I didn't want to go over that quite as much, because I feel like what a lot of people are going to want to see is some of the rules that pertain to 40K directly. So we're going to do, I'm sure we'll do a walkthrough and a playthrough on the actual game itself when it comes out next week. I wanted to show you this sick Dark Angels army, or Dark Elder army rather. But I wanted to also talk more in depth about these Fighter Ace rules. Now, the Fighter Ace rules have been around for a while. They were originally out in the first Death from Skies book. They came out on Valentine's Day, I want to say 2012. I don't know if that's the right year, but it was about that long ago. So what was cool about it was a lot of people were like, yo, I want to take these Fire Aces, but there wasn't any rules on, like, yo, if you could just take them in 40K, because getting a roll on the Fighter Ace chart could be actually pretty good. And then in the actual Death from the Skies book, there really wasn't any way, unless you did the dogfight or you did a campaign, to get those Fighter Ace basically benefits. But then in here, in this White Dwarf, right, they come on and they're like, hey, using Fighter Aces in other missions, if you wish, you can upgrade any model, have a Fighter Ace in a mission that does not have the Fighter Ace special rule. Using a Fighter Ace in such a mission follows exactly the same rules of our mission that has the Fighter Ace special rule, except that the upgrade increases the points cost of the upgraded model by 35 points. So theoretically, in a normal, you know, any other mission of 40K, if you wanted to take these points and get a roll on the chart, you know, pay these points and get a roll on the chart, you know, go for it. There's all sorts of factions in here, right? And then it, you know, talks about campaigns and things like that. So that's really cool to see that they basically give us that carte blanche to use these in our normal missions now. And remember, there was that little bit of controversy with if you could take the Iron Priest, the old Iron Priest model versus the new Iron Priest model that was in the Curse of the Wolfen book that was originally showcased in the White Dwarf. And the White Dwarf said, hey, you can field either version of this in a little red box down here. And everybody was like, no, 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 it replaces it. And then they said in their FAQ, hey, no, you can choose it. So as of last week, you know, that's official. You can choose whichever version. So I'm starting to feel like the stuff they say in White Dwarf is canon. You know, you can use it in your games. Obviously check, you know, with your TO, check with your opponent, make sure it's all kosher. But at the end of the day, I feel like the precedent is set for us to use this stuff. So they're giving more and more credence to us being able to have the stuff in the publications in our actual games. Now, I'm sure there's some folks out there, and even the flyer rules in general, a lot of people are like, I don't want to do this stuff from the skies. Yeah, that's just too much. It's too much, right? But now we're starting to see more and more rules, and we don't know what other rules. They said there's new rules for every flyer in this new supplement that's coming out in the boxes, right? So who knows what's going on? Or maybe they're going to release data sheets on their site. They was kind of vague about it. So we don't really know. It's kind of like a perpetual state of what's going on. You know, it'll take a couple weeks to all sort out. So really interesting stuff there. So let's take a closer look at these Fighter Ace upgrades here that apparently you can take. It doesn't say there's a limit, but I would imagine it's basically like you can take one for 35 points. But again, it doesn't exactly say. So that's another point of contention, right? So you can take the guard, basically the guard or the Tempestus Scions, on a roll of a 1 or 2. You get to move on from any table edge when entering from reserve. A 3 to 4, you get +1 to Fighter Ace. Front armor value, which can be pretty dope for a Valkyrie. Inspiring Presence. Any friendly units within 12 inches of the Fighter Ace that are from the same faction as the Fighter Ace have the Fearless special rule. That's dope for guardsmen, right? Chaos Demons got some pretty good ones too. On a 1 to 2, they get to reroll failed to wound and failed armor penetration rolls when making vector strikes. So it's basically a Daemon Forge on vector striking. And remember, there's only one Chaos Demon flyer that is in Forge roll, and it's the Helldrake. Oh yeah. Unholy Fortitude, add 1 to the wounds characteristic on a Fighter Ace profile. I can get behind that. And 5 to 6, +1 to the save. Wow, that's pretty good. These are all really good. Blood Angels, +1 ballistic skill. Can pivot up to 180 before moving into movement phase. Now that's bananas, because remember, now you got that new that agility value. So depending on what the agility value is, I want to say it's a 5 for the Storm Raven. So if you're rocking a Blood Angel Storm Raven, you would need a 5 to turn as you're coming on. But now, before you even move, you can move 180, right? Is that what that's saying? Can pivot up to 180 before moving into movement phase in each turn. Okay. I'm liking that. So that's basically instead of your normal 90, which is like this, you know, 1/4 of a 360 pie. Now you get half the pie. Now you're a super 40k fat kid, and you get half the pie right there to basically turn completely almost around. So you could be facing this way, and you could basically do a 180, a literal 180, and turn around and shoot something or come back at something. So you could go all the way across the table, 180, come all the way back. That's pretty dope. The next one, Wrath of Sanguinis, one use only. The fighter ace known friendly units have preferred enemy. In the same faction. That's dope. Chaos Space Marines, fighter ace has +1 ballistic skill. Fighter ace must reroll. Well, that's interesting. They do Chaos Demons and then they do Chaos Space Marines. What Chaos Demon Flyer are there faction wise? It's both the Hell Turkey. I guess you could take it as Corn. So I guess that would be the KDK one. I'm gonna have to research that one a little bit more. So Fighter Ace has +1 ballistic skill. Fighter Ace reroll, also the reroll Vector Strike, Armor Pen results, and 12 inches. Within 12 inches of Fighter Ace have a Relentless Special Roll. I'm not sure how great that would benefit a lot of things these days, but it's pretty dope to take note of. And then there's Tyranids too. This is really interesting. So can you take these for any? I did not read that. Oh yeah, monsters creature types. Each player can select one model with a fly. Okay, well that makes a lot more sense now. And that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, in a good way, because now you got Chaos Demon Princes flying around doing crazy stuff. I don't think you could, except for any model. So you could throw this stuff on like Bellicor and independent characters and Fate Weaver even. Well, that's really good to know. Well, woo! That got super spicy super quick. Okay, well, moving on. Dark Angels. Fighter Ace has +1 ballistic skill. Fighter Ace can move on from any table edge. Okay, I could see that. All Deep Strikers within 12 inches do not scatter. That's pretty neat. That could help out Belial and his bros a little bit. Grey Knights. The Fighter Ace has +1 ballistic skill. I figure that's pretty standard. Okay. Fighter Ace improves any cover by 1 up to a maximum of 3+. Okay, good catch right there. I like what they did. Fighter Ace has a Psychic Pilot, Mastery Level 1 special rule, and generates a psychic power from the Demonology Santic discipline. That could be cool if you pop a Sanctuary or something and just get it like a random Invulnerable. Or that being said, you could have some other interesting stuff in there too, like casting out, like the Force Blast. That would be really interesting. There's some actually pretty cool stuff there. You can almost go toe-to-toe with a Demon Prince, or at least be able to deal with him a little bit easier. Eldar, Dark Eldar, Fighter Ace has +1 ballistic skill. Kind of seems like it's throwing it out there. Fighter Ace can move up to 180 before moving into movement phase. I could see Eldar doing that, totally. Any friendly units within 12 inches of Fighter Ace are from the same faction, have the Hatred special rule. Okay, Hatred's a pretty powerful thing on the charge. I'm not sure who from Eldar or Dark Eldar besides some Wraith Knights are going to be doing a lot of charging, but okay. Necrons, +1 ballistic skill, okay. It will not die, that's pretty dope. Any within 12 that have reanimations protocols get +1 bonus. And this is cumulative, but cannot go past 4 up. Okay, cumulative without a restriction could be a little broken, I feel like, especially with the Tetrad, or excuse me, the Decurion. There's some shenanigans you could do in there. Orcs, +1 ballistic skill, they always love that. +1 to Fighter Ace's armor value, also a good thing for Orcs. And anything within 12 inches have Feel No Pain 6 up. So it looks like they could stack because it just gives that suggestion in there in brackets. So that's good to know. Space Wolves, +1 ballistic skill, has the Monster Hunter special rule. And the last one is Fighter Ace, has the It Will Not Die. Okay, that's pretty average, I feel like. Space Marines get the +1 ballistic skill. Okay, they can also turn around 180. Neat. And anybody within 12 inches of the same faction get preferred enemy. These are all really decent. +1 ballistic skill for Tau. Fighter Ace improves any cover save it is entitled to by 1, so they're super shieldy, super stealthy. And Marker Plane, add D3 marker light counters to a single enemy unit within 12 instead of shooting any weapons. Now Tau flyers are relevant, I feel like. That right there, you get that 5/6, that can do some dirty work because it's actually hard to get marker lights in any sort of volume these days. So I could see that hitting the tabletops and being on the competitive side of things right there. Tyranids Lone Hunter automatically passes instinctive behavior test if the Fighter Ace has a Synapse creature special rule and instead increases its Synapse by 3. Okay. That could be super useful. Adapted resilience, +1 wounds, okay. If the fighter ace is within 12, it can enter ongoing reserves at the start of any shooting phase before shooting attacks are carried out. Wow, the Tyranids are really good. Those are 3 solid upgrades for Tyranid monsters creatures, and I think we all know by monsters creatures we mean hive tyrants with lots of shooting. Any other faction? I guess AdMech flyers? I don't know. What would be? I don't know. Anywho, any other faction, +1 ballistic skill is generic. Pluto's cover save by 1, and the fighter ace gain his same faction and units within 12 get fearless. Interesting that it said any other faction, and now we're hearing things about new codexes coming out by the end of the year. I wonder why they put that in there. ... OGW, you so tricksy. So tricksy. Alright, well, we spent a lot of time on that one. Let's get to the teaser. We all know Age of Sigmar's coming in hot and fresh just here in another week, probably, when all these flyers are dropping for next year, or for next month. So it's going to be an interesting time to see what comes down the pipe for all of this new flyers, all this new Age of Sigmar. Once again, it's another exciting hobby summer, and I can tell you what, there's going to be a lot of hobbying going on next month with all those weekend days coming in fresh.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.